Hello and welcome to Africa Today. I am Esther Mokwariola. For a continent largely viewed from a global perspective with negative narratives, Africa has gained a reputation for its barren beaches, virgin forests, hypnotic beats, and strong cultures. But between the beauty of nature and the essence of life lies the dark side of religion, where witchcraft is common, superstition is widespread, and rituals are necessary to either appease the gods, seek supernatural favor, or ward off misfortune. And so we ask, what are your thoughts on African traditional beliefs and practices that continue to thrive even at the cost of human lives in modern-day societies? You can join the conversation and share your thoughts with us on Twitter at TVC Connect. We like to warn that some of the images in today's report may be disturbing and viewers' discretion is advised.
Okay, please. After you. Okay. Let's go.
That's the owner of the shrine, Alhaji Alaka Abayomi, leading the way to his domain.
Don't be in a hurry. Let's walk slowly.
Then, like one in his palace, he opened the door.
Okay, come this way, please.
That door led the group to what can only be seen in horror movie.
Your mouth shut.
The deities sat unaware of the fame that this visit is going to accord them and their chief priest. Each large room had different deity as occupant. And just maybe, depending on their potency, some were guarded with metal doors and heavy padlocks. This gave the police extra headache to gain entry into some of the rooms.
You know how now you never get the right place.
That's good. Good, man. Oh, yeah.
Then this room with a mattress that seemed like where captives are kept. It has what looked like 4 graves and one that appeared recently covered, making it a total of 5.
Okay.
The police say his arrest is in connection with the killing over the weekend at Okeota in Ibeshe area of Ikorodu.
One of the most dreaded shrines patronized by a cross-section of ritualists, including the infamous Bado group. The owner of the shrine, who is an independent oil marketer, one Alhaji Abayomi, has been arrested in connection with the heinous killing of a husband, wife, and daughters at Ikpakodo over the weekend.
They say 3 persons have been arrested as principal suspects, including a traditional ruler of the area. Police had earlier arrested 51-year-old Alhaji Alaka Abayomi at his residence at Magodo area of Lagos, and he has been linked to the cult group. This operation was carried out by Lagos Police Command, RRS, IRT, SARS in conjunction with Special Tactical Squad from Abuja. Ivy Kano, TVC News, Lagos.
Driven by poverty, desperation, and irrational thinking, rituals are common in parts of Africa where fetish acts are believed to address a range of issues from poor sexual libido to providing fresh means of blood money. And according to reports, there are communities in Uganda where a child has to be sacrificed before a major building is erected. Well, joining me in the studio on Africa Today, I have Ifama Beru, the coordinator, Pan-African Consciousness and Renaissance. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me also.
And I also have Cyril Abaku, Head of Research, TVC News here in Lagos, Nigeria.
Thank you,
Cyril,
Esther.
good to have you.
I'm glad to be here.
Now, let me begin with this kind of thought, with this intro I just read, where a child is, has to be buried before a building is erected. It sent me some shivers down my spine because I can't even imagine such things happening in this present age. But let me ask you this, Ifa. Why do we have these acts of ritual killings in Africa in this present century when it seems as though it's an old practice?
Well, I think what we have to address at first would be that what is African culture? You know, when we understand African culture, then we will be able to understand why we are why we are where we are right now. I really do not think that all of these killings, ritualism in itself, as you put it, you know, is in any way an African culture. You
So what is
saying?
it?
I think that it has a lot to do with beliefs, religious beliefs and practices. Because here we are today now trying to see if it has a nexus with African culture, ritual killings and all of that. And the position, and our position had always been that that cannot be called in actual fact African culture. Because we are about to bring a peculiarity to it, like it is something peculiar to the African people, and which is not in actual fact. As a matter of fact, about 3 years ago, not far away from the capital of Germany, you know, in a particular small village, skulls were found in a particular abandoned property.
So are you saying it's a general practice
yeah,
worldwide?
I think it is.
But
it would be
it's
incorrect.
really peculiar in African countries. You have the cases in Malawi where albinos are being hunted for their body parts. You have Uganda, you have Senegal, which is the highest of ritual killings, and Nigeria not left out. The recent ones happening in a community in Lagos. So how do you say it's not African?
It is not African because, you know, I've just given you a general outlook. Are you understanding what I'm saying? I've just given you a general outlook. That in itself speaks about the fact that it is not peculiar to African people. And also, it has nothing to do with African spirituality because we are beginning to, you know, paint a picture that what is happening, you know, in places like Ikorodu, I mean, is an illumination of what we call African spirituality, African traditional beliefs, and I think that is derogatory to what we understand African culture or African spirituality to be. In the context of African spirituality, you cannot talk about the killing of humans, you know, on unspeakable reasons. You understand what I'm saying now? You cannot really, you know, speak about African spirituality within that context.
So
I'm not saying, and I'm not in any way suggesting that, you know, spiritual beliefs and practices do not relate to one another when it comes to all of these ritual acts and what have you. But my position is that this is not something peculiar to the African people. And to a very large extent, it has nothing to do with African spirituality. Because even when we look at Christianity, when we look at Islam and what have you, I go through reports, you know, from Monday to Sunday. You go through the dailies and you come across issues like a pastor, you know, having heads of people, you know, also a Muslim cleric, you know, eggs of people who are found in his place and all of that. So I really do not think that it has something to do, or we should base it within the context of African spirituality, not understanding that, you know, within Christianity, within Islam also, we have something like that existing. So I think it would be hypocritical of us, you know, to think of it as something of African spirituality only.
Sir, do you share the same thoughts?
Well, to be very honest, and I say this with every sense of responsibility, I find some contradictions in his submissions. Let me even begin from the last point. Usually when you read such reports down the line, you'd see that some pastor or some imam was collaborating with a babalawo somewhere.
That's a traditional
a traditional priest or something. Yeah. That's one. Then to say that, I mean, in light of glaring evidence, it is, if you go through our history, African history, you find that there are places and kingdoms where kings were deposed on account of either cannibalism or ritual murders. They are documented. And then again, when he says that it is not African spirituality, it's not African culture, I find it a bit difficult to understand the authority on which he stands as a Nigerian Yoruba, for instance, to speak about African culture as a whole. It is too broad, it is too mysterious. And again, if this is happening, it is enough for us to say that, look, we have this sorry past, we have this sorry history, but we need to make a paradigm shift. For us to say that it is not African, and then to say it's not peculiar to Africa, because they found skulls in Germany. If you find skulls in Germany today, you know, maybe it was human trafficking, whatever it was, they have scientific means of verifying what really happened. Was it mass murder? Was it genocide? Was it manslaughter? And then there'll be, you know, there's going to be investigation, prosecution. People are going to be brought to book. I think that the sorry stories that Africa has, or some parts of Africa has failed or have failed to move with the times. Okay? We have failed to embrace the question of scientific inquiry. We have failed to embrace they built the White House, they didn't kill anybody. They built the London Bridge, they built the Eiffel Tower in Paris, they've been building giant infrastructure. We bring them to come and build. They don't require people to be killed, but to build a house in some part of Uganda, a child of the berry. I have been to an African community in the course of my own investigation, where I found out that within, I think, about 3 decades or so, people who built at least minimum of 1-story building had to carry on form of ritual or the other. So where somebody who wants to do business will not go and secure data and find out what market trends are talking about. He prefers to go and do some ritual somewhere for his business to move. I mean, these things don't move with the times. We have left rational thinking behind. One would have thought that even if we had this past in centuries, gone by, with the contact, as bad as colonialism was, with our contact with, with the
Western world.
No. Let's say with the wider world.
Okay.
There are some indices that we should have at least assimilated.
Exactly.
But look at our literature. We've won many prizes in the world. Our literature has been about protest, about what Christopher Kibo called the profanation of the mysteries, okay? Of how people came here to loot, to plunder, and all of that. Fine. But tell me which body of African literature is telling us about our future. They ought to be telling us about bush paths that we are lost, sacrifices that that we miss.
Done, yeah.
But so which African writer is telling us about what Africa should look like 15 years from now? Now I give just to close my opening argument. When you look at the mindset of the average African, particularly in Nigeria, he wants to make it big time overnight. And so because the political environment does not create chances for equal opportunities, the next thing he has to resort to
ritual killing.
Is ritual killing. Because somehow maybe he feels that
that's the fastest way
by
to get
doing
money.
that, he's going to make money.
Quite an interesting one. But let's go on a break now. You're watching Africa Today, and we're looking at the traditional beliefs and cultural practices that continue to thrive, even at the end, at the cost of human lives in modern day societies. We have more discussions in a moment. Stay with us. From the gruesome killings of people with albinism to the hunt for individuals with hunchbacks and bald heads, body parts and tissues like fingers, genitals, ears and blood are also well sought after materials for witch doctors. Beyond preventing misfortune and curing diseases, black magic often is used for personal, political and financial gain. Now, Ifeoma Beru, before we went on break, Cyril gave his own analysis, perspective on this matter, kind of deviating from your initial position. But if you were to look at it from your own side of view, would you say that part of what we have accepted or part of our African cultural beliefs that we still practice today has been from the root, has been from our forefathers? So it is a system that it's too difficult to control, too difficult to take out. So we just have to live with it, so to speak.
Absolutely. And I think the point that I would like to make at first is that perhaps I was totally, gotten wrong in terms of my perspective earlier on African spirituality. Magic is not peculiar to a particular religion or spirituality. And because he spoke about the fact that these pastors and these Muslim clerics, they are in collaboration with traditionalists and what have you. But my position would be that that is an essentiality of what the works of magic. So I'm putting this on point because it is important for us to dichotomize between magic and African spirituality. Because when we clump all of these things together, we won't be able to have a clarity as to where this comes from.
So what is African spirituality?
African spirituality is clear about beliefs, spiritual beliefs and practices. And that is why for the Yoruba people, there are several ways, you could appease the maker. You could appease the deities, you could appease the, the Irumole and all sort of people, you know, in order to have access to Olodumare.
And that would be what means?
Of course, several means. Sacrifices. Sacrifices is an important ingredient of African spirituality. And I do believe that sacrifices is also a special ingredient to all religions all over the world. And within the context of African spirituality, sacrifices are more often than not carried out in terms of animals. You know, you have animals, you have plants, and, you know, all of those things that are being used. Well, at a point in time in our history, but that does not mean it is peculiar to this society. You see, the point that needed to be made is, why are all of these things, why are they resurfacing today? Why are they still in existence today? They are not in existence in Europe and in other climes, primarily because the root cause of all of these issues have been addressed to some extent. You understand what I'm saying? And which is the problem? We have failed to address the root cause of all of these things, which is poverty. You know, we are living in a society where the redistribution of wealth and consumption of wealth has not been addressed. And that has got to be addressed in order for us to be able to solve all of these issues. So I think it would be incorrect for us to think of the African society as a primordial society against that background.
Quite a cogent point raised there. Cyril, what do you have to say?
Yes, I was just thinking, you know, as he made his points, about the fact that these issues are not prevalent in developed societies or developed economies because they've taken care of the root problems. I belong to a belief system. I'm Christian, okay? And I believe that properly following and keeping with the tenets of Christianity will lead to a saner society. As a matter of fact, Europe itself is where it is today because of its Protestant, you know, yes, because of its Christian heritage, okay? So if we have, I don't know the numbers, but if we, assuming that we had a preponderance of people who are patronizing these deities and these, you know, the necromancers, the palm readers and everything, and that in itself is not leading to a transformation of our society, there's a problem. That is one. Then there is a fundamental problem with that belief system, which must be taken care of. Because one way or the other, when two surfaces meet, there's always a third force that it creates. I think that, you know, systems that require people in occult P.P. textbook, Song of Lamino and Song of Okol, arguably one of Africa's finest collections of poetry ever, the case was made about how two households have sick children. In the one, the child has malaria. Somebody comes and says, brings kola nut, brings palm oil, brings a goat, and carries them to one corner and says, malaria, take the kola nut and the goat and the palm oil. Leave our baby alone. Meanwhile, another household goes to the forest, takes water, takes some grains, takes some herbs, and begins to look at the combination
of his sacrifice.
And takes records. No. Look and looks at combination and the therapeutic effect of that combination, keeps records. If there's another sickness tomorrow, based on what they have done from there, they modify. I think that what we fundamentally, I mean, if any belief system is not helping to create a better society, fundamentally, there's a problem. And I will question why I have to keep on believing you're hunting for, the reason why they hunt for albinos in Tanzania.
Malawi. Okay, Malawi
yes,
and Tanzania as well.
Malawi and Tanzania is because politicians, as we hear, need the blood or the skin of these people to make fortunes in a political place. Why is that? So if even in politics, our politicians cannot articulate issues. Esther, sorry, before I finish on that, let me make a point. The pastors and imams that patronize the Balawos, at least believers in those faiths will tell you that they don't represent those faith systems correctly. Because they are backsliders, and because the people who have become apostates, they turn around and, you know, have those syncretic fellowships with people who are of other beliefs. So they are not the actual representatives of those belief systems. But you see, when you have people in these faiths who start giving all kinds of demands, as you saw, you know, in Olaro, it means the gods are not to blame. Where somebody said that, kill this baby, he will kill his mother and marry his father. He will kill his father and marry his mother. I can tell you that if they have let that baby in the house, we would have seen the day he would have risen up to to kill his mother, his father, and marry his mother. But you see, so the question is that, what are the demands these systems make of us?
All right, all right.
And how do we respond to these demands? I think that's the fundamental issue.
Point taken there, Cyril. Now, let me bring you in on this matter, Naifaberu, because this is really a crucial matter that most of us do not understand. And if you were to look at it from your own point of view as an African, what would you say are, will I say, how will I put it now? For instance, in an African setting, what would it take so that all this system or all this practice will be taken out of our system? So it's not just be because we have poverty levels that are low, or because we have some people who are not, well taken care of in society. How can we deal with this?
I'm sorry, Esther, before I go directly to that question, and I've got to apologize, I think I've got to quickly state something. I mean, because he made mention of the fact that what's the usefulness of this belief system, I mean, today, in the modern time we're living in. And I asked myself also, what's the usefulness of Christianity and what's the usefulness of Islam? Because all of these things, all of these points have got to be made clear. I think it would be incorrect for us to antagonize one another without not understanding the root cause of all of this.
Hold on, Cyril.
Because all of this,
you've made your point.
It is very, very important.
All right, good.
Because the question is, what has Christianity done and what has Islam done to elevate and to bring about the progress of the masses of our people? All over the world. I mean, I'm talking about black people. But you would see that Christianity, Islam, as religions, have continued to necessitate the enslavement, mental enslavement and physical enslavement of the masses of our people.
So you're saying Christianity is not a good one here?
You would notice that I didn't come up with this position when I started up. Right. You understand? But whenever we come up with these antagonistic tendencies, then it is important for us to always set the record straight.
Okay.
And I think what we can do, to address the question you've raised, is that the root cause of all of these things must be addressed. I think that we'll be running around chasing nothing if we do not address the root cause. And the root cause is what I've said earlier on, the irresponsibility of these governments and, of course, past governments and I believe subsequent governments to address the issue of redistribution of what? Wealth.
But it's a case of, a belief system that has been a part of the people. So would you just say it is because of poverty or it's because of, negligence on the part of the government?
I've said it earlier on. It has nothing to do with belief system. It has nothing to do with African belief system, African spirituality. We have got to understand this. This is magic. And magic has nothing with African spirituality. You could be a magician at the same time a Christian. You could be a magician at the same time a Muslim. Yes, certainly. It has nothing absolutely to do with African spirituality, and that understanding must be put in place.
Yeah, Cyril, I think this really fascinates you. But let's move on from that. Are we really ready to leave this behind us if we're to go in terms of the changing times?
I think that fundamentally, what we need to do is to redefine the paradigms.
Right.
We need to re-educate. For me, our contact with the wider world, had its advantages and its disadvantages. Some of the things we've appropriated as advantages are working against us. For instance, if you look at the developed world, look at China, look at the West, even look at Eastern Europe, for instance, and even the US, they don't practice the same kind of education. We need to redefine and rejig what we believe as a people. What we believe is what is going to help us define what we do. Okay? So eventually, when we get our education right, when we get our enlightenment right, when we get our mobilization as a people towards a common goal, towards a common future right, then people will have the cause and reason, to have something greater to believe in and something better to look up to. But as it is today, because society, the Nigerian society, or even Africa as a whole, does not have a clear map where it is headed, in light of technological advancements that other countries have made in the world, we continue to go around circles. There was a meme on social media the other time that said, you want to do rituals to make money when you won't be richer than Bill Gates. Okay. So we need to look at the fact that, we need to embrace rational, empirical means of inquiry, of gaining knowledge, and of storing what we find out. And then, lastly, to have a cross-fertilization of ideas in the sense in which we can look at the path Europe took, indigenize it, and then look at the path people like the Benin Empire took many, many centuries ago, and modernize it, and then from there, now have what can be called a Pan-African, or, an authentic Pan-African way of moving forward. Until we do that, we are going to go down circles.
And let's hope that we do not go around circles, but we find a stop to this endless, senseless way of acts. Thanks a lot, Cyril Abaku, for your analysis on the show. And as well, Ifama Beru, we thank you very much for all you've said on Africa Today. At a time when the world is talking intercontinental ballistic missiles and aircraft, all the continent has to offer are largely tales by moonlight, featuring flying broomsticks and witchcraft. Critical thinking and rational inquiry must replace traditional ideologies for Africa to move forward and catch up in the global race of a better life for everyone. And that is our package for today. But don't forget to join the conversation on Twitter at TVC Connect, and also follow me for updates around Africa at Esther TVC News. Until the next one, I am Esther Mokwariola, and always remember, this is Africa. Bye for now.